Welcome back, Caffeine Case Filers. If you're new here, welcome to Dark Roast Caffeine Case Files. I'm your host, Kate. Grab your favorite choice of caffeine, sit outside in this warm weather if you can, and get comfy for this episode. Just a quick content warning. In this case, I will be talking about violence and murder. Please take care of yourself while listening. If you need to skip this episode, you can always catch the next one. July 1st, 73. Canada Day. For most people in Peterborough, Ontario, it was a Sunday morning for sleeping in, for the smell of bacon frying, and for the lazy promise of summer. But for one man driving to work along the quiet, tree-lined stretch of Villiers Line, just outside the village of Keene, the holiday was over before it began. He was a neighbor, just a local guy heading to his shift. The gravel road was empty, flanked by fields and the dark silhouettes of trees. But as his headlights cut through the early dawn, around 6:30 a.m., he saw something that didn't belong. A crumpled shape, pale against the dirt. First, maybe he thought it was a pile of laundry, or perhaps an animal struck by a passing car. But as he slowed the truck, the shape resolved itself into something terrible. It was a woman, naked, curled up on the side of the road, lying on her side as if she had simply laid down to sleep. She was clutching a purse to her chest. The man didn't touch her. He barely breathed. He drove to the nearest phone and called the police. Within minutes, the Ontario Provincial Police swarmed the scene. And that is where we meet Detective Gary Katz. Gary Katz was a young detective with the Peterborough OPP. He pulled up to that scene on Villiers Line, and the air went out of his lungs. Because he didn't just see a Jane Doe, he knew her. Her name was Karen Ann Woodcock. She was 33 years old, and she was the mother of 7 children, all under the age of 14, sleeping just 2 kilometers down the road. Decades later, now a retired 77-year-old man, Katz would tell reporters that he can still see her there. He told the Record, quote, "Because you knew her, you think, 'Holy Jesus.' Obviously, it bothers you to this day that it's not solved. Someone is out there that killed this woman for whatever reason. She definitely didn't deserve that." End quote. This is the story of a life cut short at the exact moment it was supposed to begin. This is the mystery of the phone booth, the missing black dress, and the family that was destroyed twice, first by murder and then by suspicion. To understand why this case still haunts Peterborough County 50 years later, you have to forget the crime scene photos for a moment. You have to look at the woman, not the victim. In 1973, the world was changing. Bell-bottoms, disco, the tail end of the sexual revolution. But in the small, rural communities surrounding Peterborough, life was still pretty traditional. Karen was not traditional, and everyone who knew her says that with a kind of reverence. She wasn't just a mother of 7, she was an artist, a poet, a writer. Just 2 days before she was killed, on Friday, June 29th, 1973, Karen graduated from Sir Sandford Fleming College. She had just finished a stenography course. She was standing on the precipice of a new chapter. She had spent her 20s raising babies, changing diapers, and keeping a home in the tiny village of Villiers. But now, her youngest was 3, and her oldest was a teenager. She was looking outward. Her daughter, Kelly Vane, was 13 years old when her mother died. Looking back as an adult, Kelly described her mother as ahead of her time. She was smart, ambitious, and according to Detective Katz, not the least bit shy. Katz, who knew her socially before the tragedy, put it bluntly, quote, "She was not your TV mom," end quote. She was outgoing, attractive, and she drew the attention of men. Some, Katz noted, were infatuated with her. But let's be clear, being outgoing in a small town in the 70s was a double-edged sword. While her friends saw a vibrant woman finding her feet, others, specifically the police, initially saw something to be suspicious. Let's paint the picture of July 1st, 1973. It was a weekend of celebration. Karen had graduated on Friday. She went out with friends to celebrate her accomplishment. She was riding a high. On Saturday morning, she went home to Keene to see the kids. But she wasn't ready for the weekend to end. She went back into the city of Peterborough on Saturday night. We don't know exactly who she was with or where she went, but we know where she ended up. She ended up at a phone booth. It was 4:30 in the morning. The bars were closed. The streets were empty. Standing at the corner of Park Hill Road and Reed Street in Peterborough, Karen dropped a dime into the slot and dialed a relative, a sister or a sister-in-law. She needed a ride home. Think about that. A 33-year-old mother of 7 standing alone in a phone booth at 4:30 a.m. asking for a ride. It tells us she didn't have a car with her. It tells us she was perhaps stranded. And it tells us that whatever plans she had for the night had ended abruptly. We don't know exactly what was said on that phone call, but we know the outcome. For whatever reason, maybe the relative couldn't come. Maybe they had said they'd be late. Karen hung up the receiver and she disappeared. A witness came forward later. They told police they saw a woman hitchhiking in that same area around that same time. Hitchhiking in 1973 wasn't what it is today. It was common. It was normal. But it was also a gamble. Police never fully verified that tip, but Gary Katz believes That's likely what happened. She got into a car. Between 4:30 a.m. and 6:30 a.m., Karen Woodcock went from a living, breathing, vibrant woman to a body on the side of the road. Let's go back to Villiers Line. The sun is rising. The OPP have cordoned off the road, and Detective Gary Katz is looking at a puzzle that has no edges. First, the body. Karen was nude. Her clothes were gone. Not torn off in a struggle. Gone. Removed. She was lying on her side, curled up. She was holding her purse. This wasn't a robbery. This wasn't an SA, at least. Not that the 1973 forensics could find. The autopsy later confirmed there was no evidence of SA and no defensive wounds. That is a huge red flag. It means either she knew her attacker so well that she let her guard down completely, or she was struck so quickly and so brutally that she never had a chance to raise her hands to protect her face. The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. The killer hit her with something heavy. A rock, perhaps, a tire iron, something with enough force to shatter bone. But here's the detail that haunted Katz for 50 years. There was no blood. Imagine the side of a gravel road. If you hit someone in the head with a tire iron, there is blood. Arterial spray, pooling droplets. But at the scene on Villiers Line, there was nothing. There was no blood anywhere, Katz recalled. Nothing on her body, nothing on the road. The conclusion was inescapable. Karen Woodcock was not killed where she was found. She was killed somewhere else. In a car, in a house, in a garage. And then her body was driven to Villiers Line and dumped. The killer undressed her, presumably to remove forensic evidence, and left her there like garbage. The immediate priority for police was to find her clothes. She had last been seen wearing a black dress and clunky black or blue shoes. Detectives, led by a big-shot inspector from Toronto, walked every ditch in the county. Quote, "We put in the press what kind of clothes we were looking for," end quote, Katz said. But we never found her clothing. They never found the murder weapon. They never found the scene of the attack. They had a body, a purse, and a 2-hour window. That was it. No DNA in 1973. No skin under the fingernails, nothing. But they did have one thing: a husband. When a married woman is murdered, especially in the 1970s, the first look is always at the husband. And Floyd Woodcock did not look good under that first light. Detective Katz admitted that Floyd and Karen had a turbulent relationship. Quote, "They had their mix-ups," end quote, Katz said. There were unpleasantries. It wasn't a leave it to Beaver household. Karen was a free spirit. Floyd was a working man trying to raise 7 kids in a small town. So, when the news broke that Karen had been found beaten to death, the police descended on the family home. Floyd was handcuffed and led out of the house in front of his 7 terrified children. Can you imagine that? It's July 1st. You're a kid. You wake up and cops are taking your dad away. Police tore the house apart looking for the missing black dress. They interrogated Floyd. They looked for blood. They looked for the weapon. But Floyd had something that a lot of suspects don't have: an alibi, and not just a flimsy one. He had the children, the kids ranging in age from 3 to 14, told police that their father had been home all night. He was sleeping in the house while their mother was out. In those crucial 2 hours between 4:30 and 6:30 a.m., Floyd was tucked in bed with 7 witnesses. Eventually, Floyd was cleared. The handcuffs came off, but in the court of public opinion, in a small town in 1973, the damage was done. His daughter, Kelly Vane, was furious about how her father was treated. She said the persecution destroyed him. Quote, "He was forced to move the family into a hovel in Peterborough," she told the Examiner. Floyd descended into a deep alcoholism. The family fell apart. By the time Kelly was 15, she had moved out on her own. The rest of the siblings ended up scattered in foster care. Think about that. The ripple effect of this murder didn't just kill Karen, it annihilated the Woodcock family. Floyd, a likely innocent man, died years later, broken and haunted by the suspicion that never fully washed off him. But if it wasn't Floyd, who was it? The OPP didn't just stop at the husband. They had another theory, a darker theory, and it involved a monster. Gary Katz was a good cop. He knew Karen. He knew she wasn't a TV mom. But he also knew she didn't deserve to die naked in a ditch. So he started digging into the dark underbelly of Peterborough County. He identified a second suspect, a sexual predator. This wasn't just a petty criminal. This was a man who had a signature. His MO was violence against women. Specifically, Katz noted he was a man who had beaten a woman and left her for dead on the side of the road. Sound familiar? It should. Katz described him as violent, tough, and smart. The method fit. The dumping ground fit. The rage fit. But in 1973, without DNA, without witnesses willing to talk, they couldn't pin it on him. They had the puzzle pieces, but they didn't have the glue. There's also a disturbing rabbit hole here that some online sleuths have explored. Some sources suggest that police looked at the possibility that Karen's murder was connected to the disappearance of Frances Muriel Harris in 1972, or the death of Brenda Stinson. Was there a serial predator operating in the Kawarthas in the early 1970s? The OPP has never confirmed a link, but the question lingers. Let's talk about the investigation's biggest hurdle: silence. Gary Katz pleaded with the community, quote, "We begged anybody who had anything to do with her for information." He said, "A lot of people did not want to get involved back then." End quote. Why? Was it fear? Was it loyalty to the killer? Or was it because people thought, well, she was hitchhiking at 4:30 a.m.? She was asking for it? That victim-blaming mentality was rampant in the 70s. It poisoned the investigation. Katz retired in 1999 due to a severe eye injury. He spent the next 2 decades sitting at home thinking about Karen. He told reporters it was the one that got away. But here is the strangest, most ironic, and most hopeful twist in this whole tragic story. The case wasn't cold forever because the cops forgot about it. It stayed warm because of family. And I don't mean Karen's family. I mean Gary Katz's family. Remember, Gary Katz, the first detective. His daughter-in-law is named Tracy Katz. And Tracy Katz is a detective constable for the OPP. Decades after Gary walked the ditches looking for a black dress, Tracy took over the case file. The unsolved murder of Karen Woodcock is now being investigated by the daughter-in-law of the original detective, Gary Katz, now in his late 70s, told reporters that it's the best shot Karen has. As of 2025, the case remains open. The OPP still lists it as an active investigation. There is a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of Karen's killer. But money isn't what drives this case anymore. It's memory. In 2013, on the 40th anniversary of her death, Karen's daughter, Kelly Vane, spoke to the Peterborough Examiner. But her other daughter, Carrie Long, née Woodcock, wrote a poem, a Mother's Day letter that was never sent. Quote, "She had a plan for her children and her life, to be a great mom and a true loving wife. She used to braid our hair just right and tuck us in our beds at night. Our time together was cut far too short. The person who killed you has never been in court. It has been so long since we've seen her smile. But for 44 years, she's been felt every mile." End quote. That poem was written years ago. Those children are now grandparents themselves. The 3-year-old who was sleeping when her mother was dumped on the road is now in her 50s. The passing of time is the enemy of justice. Witnesses die, memories fade. The gravel roads of Villiers Line are now paved, busier and unrecognizable. The phone booth at Park Hill and Reed is long gone, but Gary Katz isn't gone. And Tracy Katz isn't gone. And the Woodcock children, they are still here. Still under that big dark cloud, as Carrie put it. If you're listening to this somewhere in Ontario, maybe you remember something. Maybe your father came home acting strange on July 1st, 1973. Maybe you remember a black dress in a trash can. Maybe you know why a vibrant, beautiful woman was left naked on a gravel road. Karen Woodcock was a poet. She was a mother. She was a graduate. She was a woman standing on the edge of a new life who ran out of time before she could jump. For Detective Gary Katz, the image that sticks isn't the crime scene. It's the life. If her story is kept a secret, he said, then things die out. Today we told her story so that it doesn't die out. And so that somewhere, maybe, someone finally picks up the phone. If you have any information about the murder of Karen Ann Woodcock, please contact the Peterborough County OPP at 705-742-0401. The Provincial Communications Centre at 1-888-310-1122, or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Also, please check out the Facebook page and website called Someone Knows Something, where I obtained this story and very likely future stories as well. There are so many unsolved cases here in Canada, and each and every crime victim deserves to have their stories told, have justice brought to them, and answers must be given to their loved ones. Rest in peace, Karen. In the next episode, I will be talking about the fall of the Murdaugh country. Most of you are very familiar with this case. It's the case of Alex Murdaugh and his family, along with Alex's recent murder trial being overturned. As always, please take care of yourself. Do something grounding after listening to this episode. Call a friend, pet a dog, sit in the sunlight. The darkness in these stories is real, but so is the light in the world. Don't forget to find it. Please follow Dark Roast Caffeine Case Files. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Substack. And you can listen to my episodes on your favorite podcast streaming service. Stay tuned for more coffee and more crime. Bye now.